So I'm cheating today. Oh, and I didn't bring my phone, so I'm not going to know who's on here. So if I don't say good morning, it's because I don't have access to who's on here. But good morning to those who are on here, and cheers to you. And hopefully figured out this audio issue that I was having with the feedback. But if not, I need to figure that out. Trial and error all the time, which is okay. I'll figure it out. Don't let the muggles get you down. Drinking that cup today. And I'm having tea because I was feeling, like I said, not so well. And I just want to start to make sure that my immune system is staying strong and powerful. So drinking tea with some honey to hopefully support me through the process. So I've been reading in my master's program. We're doing some amazing work, and something that we've been talking about is, interest, curiosity. What does that look like? And really understanding how interest leads to this sort of excitement, or the curiosity and the interest leads to an excitement of wanting to understand information. I was talking about this yesterday, and it's quite amazing because I find that I'm, really interested in a lot of things. I'm just interested in being interested. I don't, if that makes sense. And I'm curious about everything. So typically, constantly looking to engage in new things or have a deeper understanding of something, especially when it comes to my health, especially when it comes to something that can help or support the higher good of humanity, especially when it's coming to the psychology of others and the way others think, especially when it comes to a lot of different things. Now, there are things that I don't dive into. So, really kind of looking at where do your interests lie. And so we did this really cool project where we had to do some art. And I was very excited. I should have had it close to me so I could show you guys. But I did post it on my own personal Facebook, the actual art that I drew. And we were supposed to depict what interests look like to us. And so I started to think about, well, what is interest to me? Well, there's this natural curiosity that arises, and I listened to this TED Talks, and this girl was talking about natural curiosity. And I've always had that. That's when we sort of question things, right? We're like, well, why this? Well, why that? You have those kids who will dig deeper, deeper, deeper and ask questions. And then they're like, stop asking so many questions. And it's like, but why? I don't really understand why I can't ask so many questions. But I'm one of those people, and still till this day, I ask a ton of questions, mostly for clarity. Good morning, Quadi. Mostly for clarity, but I also do it because I'm curious for my own self, because I want to know, because I want to understand, because I want to have clarity. And that's part of the reason why I became a life coach as well. Because some people, when we talk to people, we engage with people, we use these words to try to describe what we're talking about. And sometimes we're not using either the right words, or we're trying to communicate and we don't understand, and they don't understand, and there's this confusion. And so for me as a coach, I ask people to get super, super, super clear about what they're saying. And so the words, and it's funny because people say, oh, you're crazy. Because I'll say, wait, did you mean this? Or did you mean that? And it's only for clarity so that I understand what they're talking about and I can relate to them. Otherwise, there may be this confusion about what they're trying to communicate. Um, so, questions, being curious and asking questions. Now, I know, even so, I will say here in the US, it's like when you were in school, if you asked questions or raised your hand, or, people thought, oh, well, that person must be dumb, or, those were the kind of inherent beliefs that we had about asking or being inquisitive. And at least from our perspective, our school, it was like you should just know, but we don't know. And so asking questions is really important. So, like, even in my program, I'll be asking questions. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what does that mean? How do you describe this? Can you give me another meaning? What does and really just for my own interest because I'm naturally curious. And I loved what the girl said on the TED Talks about engaging in your natural curiosity. Why? Because it's good for us, because it ignites our imagination. It allows us to be creative. It allows us to tap into the creative space in our mind. And so that natural curiosity, that question leads us sort of down a rabbit hole sometimes. Sometimes I'm down the rabbit hole too far though. Like, Natalie, you better back up, girl. You're just you're way too far down. Um, but the natural curiosity. So I drew when I was thinking about it. I drew because of the spiritual alchemy and because I understand the process of tarot and the alchemic process that comes behind it, spiritual alchemic process, I should say, with the actual tarot cards. Well, what do they mean? They're just depictions of the process of natural law, basically. And so one of them is called the hangman, where you see life through a new perspective. In other words, you're hanging upside down. It's almost like a surrender. It's almost like a letting go. It's looking at life through a new lens. Like, it's like this. It's like you drive home the same way every day of your life. So you're constantly driving home, and it's almost, well, not almost, it's automatic, right? Sometimes you're like, whoa, how did I even get here? Because I drove from work to home and I didn't even remember the drive. And why didn't I remember the drive? Well, it's automatic. You've been doing it forever. But then if it's like one day you're like, I'm just going to go a different way, and then you notice something different, or you're like, wow, I've never been down this road, and then you're like, you run in or you bump into something really cool and you're like, whoa, look at what I just ran into, something that I would have never if I had not explored. So it's about exploring. It's about being curious about things and looking into different ways of seeing the world. And that's, to me, the depiction of what the hangman is. Surrender and an illumination in looking at life through a different lens, seeing life through a whole new way. Now, that takes, sometimes it takes practice for people. I think a lot of people are out of practice when it comes to natural curiosity, and to really looking into that. Why? Because sort of we have this program that tells you you should be you should be this, you should be getting up, working, da da da, don't ask questions, just do it. You've got to provide, you've got to survive, you've got to, it's a 9 to 5 grind. There's very little space for, your natural curiosity. On the job, it's like sometimes it's just the work that you do is so monotonous, and if they've done it over and over and over again, there's really no critical thinking that goes involved in it, right? It's just someone saying, here, you do this, or you've done the same process over and over and over a billion trillion times. But there are times where you're part of a creative team and whatnot, but that's pretty rare. I mean, typically, because the system's already set up, they're like, this is what you're going to do. So people will do jobs that, again, may not require you thinking out of the box or being a critical thinker, or even igniting your natural curiosity. And in that, we sort of become robots in some way. Where we're just kind of like, oh, go with the flow, go with the motions. And then we go with the motions, and then we are like, oh, what are we doing? And then there's this like, wow, I used to like to play an instrument. I used to love to paint. The creative side of our brain, right? Where we've been so mechanical and we've maybe lost some of the creativity. So the hangman allows us to surrender. That's to let go of what we thought we knew, and then to look at life through a whole new lens. There's that saying, you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. And the thing is we know what we know. So we know, what our limitations are. We know what we can do, right? I know that I can put on this podcast. I've been doing it for a while. So that's something I know I can do, okay? I know that I can drive. I know that I can talk a lot. I know that I can do these things. I know that I can cook. I know, like that. And I know what I don't know, which is like I don't know how to fly a plane. If I wanted to, I could. I could teach myself. But I know that I don't know how to do that. I know that there's certain things that I don't know, like how to, I don't know, whatever it is. I don't know how to do it. Okay, so there's that. Now, we don't know what we don't know is the space of creativity. So it's the ability to allow new things to arise. Like, I don't know what I don't know. If I don't go down that road, I'm not ever going to know. But I can go down that road, and I can drive a new way from work and explore different avenues and different roads and different ways of seeing the world. And I can, engage in life from a different way. It's uncomfortable. It's almost like, and it's funny because like when we're taking leadership, it's like taking a shower. Imagine taking a shower. When you take a shower, okay, we don't think about it. It's like tying shoes. We don't think about it. We just do it. We've been doing it for so long. We don't even know how we're doing it. We just do it. And and so think about taking a shower. Like, there's a system. We already have our system for taking a shower, whether it be like, okay, we wash our hair, maybe we don't have hair, I don't know. We wash our body, but we wash our body the same way every single time. And if we changed it up, it would be very uncomfortable for most people. They'd be like, whoa, this is weird. This doesn't feel right. Like, I'm doing it the wrong way, or like there's a right way to do it. There's not. Your body's going to be clean, whether you clean from head to toe or toe to head. You're going to clean it up. The way we dry off, after a shower, it's the same way. And so again, that doing it the same way, is there anything wrong with it? No, it puts us in automatic. It saves time, of course, if we're in a rush. And that's why our bodies, our minds put it in automatic, because it's not something we have to remember, right? We have other things we got to get to. But if you wanted to explore what it was like to be in the perspective of trying something new, discovering some new things about yourself, then change it up. Change it up. So be very, very cognizant when you're taking a shower. Be like, what do I do? What is my routine? Oh, yeah, I wash my hair first. Well, what if I wash my body first and then my hair? That's a huge change. And you'd be like, whoa, that's so weird. But being in the experience of it, it's something so tiny. But yet, what is there to uncover in that tiny little shift, right? What do you notice about yourself, or what do you notice about the experience of being in that space, being in that curiosity of, I don't know what I don't know, and I can try something different, and I can move it different. What if I discovered a different way to, I don't know, maybe the conditioner goes on first, and that's a better fit for you because it stays on longer, and then your hair's, I don't know, more, I don't know. If you have hair, you may not have hair. But again, it's just you don't know what you don't know is what I'm trying to get at. So doing this and then looking at life from a whole new perspective and a whole new lens, and asking yourself, is this uncomfortable? Am I settling into the comfortable and not allowing myself to be comfortable with uncomfortable, so that I can discover new ways of being, new ways of myself, new ways of engaging the world? And so getting uncomfortable with being comfortable with uncomfortable, and allowing ourselves to explore. So this interest for me was, now here's the deal. I've tried to paint before. I'm not an artist, okay? I know people say, Natalie, yes you are, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine. You can say I'm an artist, but I admire art. I'm an admirer of art and a collector of art. But Natalie doesn't art. So I've tried to art, and I've done paintings, and I have to do abstract stuff, because really, if I try to do realistic art, stick people's the realest I can get, believe it or not, which is really true. So I've done some paintings that I haven't finished, right? And the story is kind of funny. I'll tell you the story about this painting. So I did this painting. I was piquing my interest, and I was like, yeah, let's do this painting. And my niece had her colors, and I had a canvas, and I thought, I'm going to really explore this thing. And I got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't have any instruction. I don't know what to teach me. I don't know what I'm doing. So I kind of was like, all right, I'm kind of over it. I think I'll come back to it later. And typically I won't come back to it. I just let it stay there. And so somebody was like, no, it's done. That just means it's done. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can live with that. I can live with it. This piece is done. Okay, so I hung it up. And then my mom saw it and she goes, oh, you need to finish that. I laugh. She's like, you need to finish that piece of art. I'm like, oh, well, it's done. And she's like, well, no, you see, you got to put a circle here and a circle there. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not finished. And I knew it wasn't finished, but someone told me it was okay where it was. But then I have my mom who's critical of it. And I'm like, okay, I just left it anyway. I'm not gonna that it's finished to me, but still, it was kind of funny, right? Because now I was like, oh, really? Now I have to come back and fix this? But no, I let it go. So I thought, man, I'm never ever gonna finish a piece of art. Never. It's just never gonna happen. I don't know what happens. There just comes a point where I stop, and then it's like half finished, and it just whatever, and then I never go back to it. Um, and it's because of the interest or the curiosity. So in my week long, I'm supposed to be in this like interest, curiosity state of mind for my master's course. So I said, okay, well, let me see what this interest does. And then I pulled out the paint and I started to paint with a purpose, which was a purpose of articulating what interest might look like on paper. And when the Hanged Man came out into my mind, I thought, okay, let's see where this goes. And I sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do and all this stuff. And so I said, okay, well, let's start to paint. And I started, and then I had a background, and then I said, okay, I got my background, and I left. And I said, okay, and then I came back. And I knew that I had to turn this in for a project. So part of it was I had an end game. I knew that I had to turn something in, and also had to be in the state of curiosity or interest in this thing that I was up to. And so I started to paint and paint and paint. And before you knew it, I was very, very, very ingrained with the painting. I almost felt like I was Leonardo da Vinci or Picasso. Even though, good morning, Baram. I didn't even see Miss Chi. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. But good morning. And I started to feel the connection between the paintbrush and the paint and the canvas. And it was almost like this flow and dance with the paint. And I just felt so connected. And it was quite amazing. And I thought, this is interesting, right? I'm here interesting, right? Because I'm supposed to be in interest. But it was interesting. And it was interesting that I was able to come to a place where I finished a piece of art out of the mere feeling of not knowing what I don't know, and then allowing myself to be interested in it and to be curious about it and to be in connection with what I was up to at the time. How do we stay connected to the things that we're up to, especially when we're interested in it? Now, this is something that most people, I want to say most people, because there's a lot of artists and people that have creativity, but beyond their own creativity even. It's like, yeah, I'm a painter. Well, you've been painting, but what if you tried some different art form? What if you tried doing clay or pottery or all this other, what if you tried a different art form, to ignite that interest in you? That's just outside, but it's a new perspective, a new way of seeing things. What if you use different colors? What if you tried realism in your painting rather than abstract? What if you did, all these things? And so to keep us in a state of interest and natural curiosity, to ignite the imagination within us, to allow us to co-create with the divine. That's really what it's about. But we've been spoon-fed, right? How we're supposed to operate, what we're supposed to think, what we should be interested in, what we shouldn't be interested in. What is your natural interest? Sometimes it's, I don't know, going for a hike. We have these beautiful mountains, and hiking here in New Mexico is beautiful. It's like that natural curiosity to be with nature, to look at the rocks, to want to understand what these rocks mean. What are they? How do you dig deeper into that? Or even the historical landscape, like, okay, so New Mexico's been here for how long? Who else was here? Who are the families that live here? All of that. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go, and twists and turns, but it's just for your own curiosity, just for the mere excitement and joy of being interested in something. So I love this topic, and I love the fact that we're delving into this, because it's really an opportunity to reconnect to that I call childlike innocence. And I've sort of talked about it before, but this is a little deeper. I think it's deeper because I do practice my childlike innocence, but I was able to engage that from a platform or in art in a way that I never had. And it was fun. I had a good time. I was very, very, very into it. And I think the art piece came out beautiful. I mean, it's definitely not Picasso. It's not worth trillions of dollars. Schools have definitely dumbed us down. Yeah. And the schools, that I think that's the big thing, is they don't allow children to engage their natural curiosity, right? It's like, do what I tell you. And then it's very left brain, very scientific, mechanical. The first thing to go are the arts and the parts where we get to be creative. It was really cool. I will tell you a story. When I was a substitute teacher, um, I had a class that had to go to art class, and the teacher really liked me. So I had substitute for this teacher more than once. She liked me, the kids liked me, and they wanted me always to come back. To when they wanted a substitute, they asked for me. And these kids had art class, so it was kind of nice because they still had the arts in their school. And I was walking them to art class, and then they did all their art, and I had a little kid who drew me an art piece, and it was really, it's so endearing to just see. It was had a little house, and I think I still have the art piece, but it was really cool. And you can just see on their faces how excited they were. They wanted to share their art. I mean, it was, they're not saying, hey, look at my spelling and my, not to say that that's not important, but there is this excitement when we are able to explore those things inside of us. So it was really awesome to see their faces light up, and to see that they were excited. I mean, the rest of the time weren't so excited. They were like, oh, we want to do something else other than just sitting here writing and reading and quiet and not communicating with one another, whatever else they were doing. Not to mention not even able to go out for recess or be engaged in nature, which is another whole thing. But there was this excitement in their eyes. And that's what I'm talking about. Tapping into your own natural curiosity, your own interest, and just be with it. Find something, whatever that interest is for you. Again, it could just be like changing up your routine to see life through a different lens and see where it might throw you off. It might throw you completely off, but who knows where you'll end up, right? It's kind of like Alice down the rabbit hole. I like going down the rabbit hole. It's fun, but you come back and you go back to your routine if you need to, because it's always available to you. So it's not like you're going to get lost in the weeds. I mean, you can, but you always have your routine you could come back to. So there you have it. It was a super amazing, fun project. And perhaps tomorrow, if I can remember to bring it so that I can show you guys, then I will do that. And yeah, just again, I say be in the space of interest and curiosity, and see the excitement that surfaces from being able to connect that way, because that's where the excitement for life That's where it comes from. Our natural ability to be interested and curious about things. And then the excitement and joy of discovering something that we may not have known, right? Which is cool. Awesome. So there you have it. That is Spirit and Coffee today. Don't let the muggles get you down. Don't let the muggles get you down. Okay? So there you go. I don't know who that's supposed to be. Luna? Maybe that's Luna. Luna Lovegood. Okay, so there you have it. I love you guys. Have a great Thursday. I know today's Thursday, so I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. I'm supposed to go to a friend's and do the podcast at his studio, so I don't know if I'm going to do two or we're going to do it on Spirit and Coffee. I'm not 100% sure how he wants to set it up. So I will probably ask him today. So there you have it. Okay, love you guys. Have a great day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.